viewers, and welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. 03 Ford Escape, the money light's on, and it has an EVAP code in it, and that's all we ever do here, or so it seems, is the PO for whatever. And this one is having a problem with the fuel tank pressure sensor being at a low voltage, or at least that's what the code is for, so I'm thinking no big deal, you know, we don't really have to record it. Probably a faulty fuel tank pressure sensor, move on with life. So I brought it in, kind of checked out some data, and I see the fuel tank pressure sensor is reading spot on the money. It was like 2.5 volts, 2.6, something like that, you know, reading atmospheric pressure. I turned on the vapor management valve, watched the voltage, you know, drop a little bit. So I'm thinking that's kind of, you know, bizarre that it tripped this code. Must be it's intermittent. And so I just kind of, you know, watching data and thinking, you know, what's going to be the next approach and things like that. And then I discovered the anomaly. If you increase the engine RPMs, the voltage drops to 0, and that's kind of bizarre. And so at first I was thinking, must be it has to do with, you know, engine torque, perhaps a wire chase through, so I put it in reverse, torqued it, nothing, put it in drive, torqued it, nothing, voltage stayed the same, put it back in park, increase the RPMs upwards around, you know, 2,800, 3,000 somewheres, voltage drops right to 0. So that's pretty wild. I have no idea what it is, so I thought at that point I'd stop, bring you guys along, because this is something I haven't seen yet, and we'll figure this out together and find out what ails this little guy. Sorry for the long intro, but just wanted to get everybody caught up to speed here. So let me just pop back, make sure I got the right code number here. So yeah, 452, the EVAP, system pressure sensor low, but I see it has a PO1000 now. The guy told me when he you know, that he hasn't had a dead battery or have anybody look at this, so it's kind of odd that it hasn't run the full drive cycle. So that kind of has me concerned, and the monitor that hasn't run yet is the EVAP monitor, so we'll have to keep that in mind. It is also in here as a pending code, so so we'll go back here. I popped into some data, let's get everybody up to speed. And I believe normal atmospheric pressure on these Fords is around 2.5, and then the voltage goes down as fuel tank pressure decreases. So we can see right now our fuel tank pressure is at 2.6. When I went back, we will go to some function tests. We'll open the vapor management valve. So it's going to be like the purge valve on a Ford. It's going to allow some vacuum to come into the tank. Of course, the canister vent is open, so it's not going to pull a full vacuum, but we should see some change in the vapor management, or in the tank pressure sensor, which is fuel tank pressure right here. So there's our fuel tank pressure. We're going to turn the vapor management valve on. Our voltage should decrease, so you can hear the engine chuggle there, and it does. It drops down to about 2.2. Turn it back off and it should pop back up. Our engine's chuckling there a little bit as the valve opens and closes. So here's the anomaly, and the only reason I revved it up initially was to, you know, bring the RPMs up, let off it, and then, you know, hopefully build a little higher manifold vacuum. I wanted to see this get pulled down, but I'll start to increase the RPMs. And we can see it drop. I gotta do a custom list. This scanner is so slow, it's oops, wrong data pid there, pal. Let's see if we can see this here. So there's our problem. No idea why it does that. Pretty cool though. Check it out. So first thing first, we have to look at our offending circuit, and here it is. Here's our pressure transducer. So it's going to be a standard, you know, 5-volt reference, signal return, and a ground. So nothing too special there. But I think what we have to do is see what's going on. See, are we losing our reference voltage? Which I think if we were, we'd also be losing it well, potentially could be losing it here at the throttle position sensor, the DPF sensor, which we don't have any codes for. So this is pretty interesting. I think we just got to find out what in the heck is happening. If our data is correct, it's supposed to be under the seat. I guess just flops up like that. Sweet. No dropping thing, baby. Alright, we're going to pull the lid off this. Looks like some Phillips heads. And then the fuel pump should sit right here. And then our fuel tank pressure sensor, according to data, is in a hose right on top of the tank. Get some light up in this place. Curious myself as to what is going on. So here is our fuel tank pressure sensor. There she is, right in that hose. Let's see if we get it unplugged. I'm just kind of curious. We'll unplug it and see if it does the same exact thing before we even check any circuits. There we go. It should be at 5 volts now. Key on, engine off on that return side. Should be is the keyword. Poke back here. Where's my little donger? There it is. So we'll go to data emissions. Let's get it loaded up here. Like I say, it should be at 5 volts, open circuit voltage. Fuel tank pressure 5.12. Let's go to custom. There we go. Alright, let's, oh man, you guys got a heck of a glare. Can I reach my light? Hold on, folks. Let's see if I can tune this down. Maybe that'll help a little. Yeah, a little bit, not much. I just want to see if this fuel tank pressure voltage drops. Okay, it does not. Let's plug it back in and make sure we didn't disturb anything. Oh man, I'm doing the classic reach around here in the seat. Okay, I should be getting that little grab. Whoa. Okay, whew, we got her. She's plugged in. Well, we didn't disturb anything. So what's the magic RPM here? Try to do her slow. 22, 24, 25, 26. There's 3,000. Looks like 3,000 RPMs is the magic number. Very interesting. Why? So, kind of a fun one. Initial thoughts is I don't believe it can be losing, you know, the ground to the center. If we lost the ground, the voltage would elevate naturally, just like unplugging it. I doubt we're losing the 5 volt supply to it, because I think we would have issues with, like I say, throttle position and DPF if that feeds off the same sensor. I suppose we can go look at those, but I would be certain that it would set a code if they were also losing it. However, the 5 volt reference is spliced off from one of those wires, you know, somewheres, so it could be losing it, but it's kind of odd, you know, the whole 3,000 RPM thing. That's too predictable. It's definitely not due to engine torque, because you can torque this thing in drive and reverse, and it does not do it. I'm really kind of leaning, you know, my gut's telling me there's something going on wacky inside the box, but we have to prove that first. And just for the sake of it, so throttle position, DPF run off the same 5 volt reference that that little guy does. And when it drops out, neither one of those do. So just kind of something to take note of. Okay, so I peeled the insulation back here for us. Let's see. So brown and white. This is going to be our, should be our 5 volt signal. back here. So we'll grab that. Our pink here should be our signal return. So this is going to be what the computer sees, this one here. And then our orange should be our sensor ground. And we'll go right off that, and we'll be able to read all these at the same time, technically. Alright, so we will get hooked up. We'll do a ground. Let's see, run away at, yeah, I guess it don't matter. We'll do channel 2 as our 5-volt reference. And then our signal return will get set up here. We'll just use the Vantage so we can see. I don't know if you can do a dual channel graphing meter or not. Yeah, you can. Okay, perfect. I'll get this set up, and then we'll monitor the 5-volt reference and then the signal return back to the ECM and see what it does. Alright, so I got it set up here. Oh, look at that, we just had a little glitch right there, just not even touching the throttle. So the yellow trace, which is being kind of funky, that's going to be our signal return, and that actually showed up on our data too, so that's interesting. Well, let's, so I just have our fuel tank pressure data pit over there and our RPMs there. I just want to see what happens when we start to increase. So there's 3,000-ish. There's live data. There's raw data. Alright. Well, and this also proves that we are not losing ground. Otherwise, we would have lost our 5-volt reference. Because if we come back here, let's say we lost our ground. There's what would have happened right there. We would have lost our 5-volt reference. So we just tested all 3 wires simultaneously. So the ECM is seeing real data here. The question now is why. So personally, I feel the next step should be is just circuit integrity check to make sure the signal return wire to the ECM is intact and able to carry current. You know, I'm going to assume it is. This was really acting like, you know, just, you know, a glitch in the ECM. So yeah, I think without putting a ton of thought into it, that would be my next step. And the beauty of this vintage Ford is the ECM is easy to get to. Pull this out. Pins look good. We'll have to find out which pin it is. Grab a diagram. Signal return wire is pin 62. Is this thing labeled at all? Who's who? I thought they were. 79 and 104 is on the top. Come on, give me some numbers here, little guy. I think the numbers are just on the ECM itself. Alright, I just want to make sure we're going to hit the right one. Labeled on the back side. So, better safe than sorry. Gotta do it, folks. Open her up. Put her under the knife. I can't, I'm just trying to think here aloud. If it was any kind of loss of power to the ECM, anything like that, that would be reflected in other areas too. But you know, we only have one circuit here that's having an issue, so I can't really see a need to, you know, powers ground, stuff like that at the ECM. It's kind of odd. Every ECM I've ever replaced in one of these escapes has always been for an EVAP related problem, so it's kind of must be inherent in this vintage. So here we go. Got that little guy off. No damage. So pin 6 there's 53. Where's that end over here? It's 78. So with my calculations, it's got to be somewhere in between those. And something that's magnetic. There we go. 62. We're looking for a pink and white, right? Of course, we have to pick the one that's right smack in the middle. 53. There she is. Let me get a little hook so I can dig through them. Alright, identified it on the back side. It is our red with pink. It's this little guy right here that I pulled out. So 53. Should be this one here, 62. Now, no, my probe is not spreading it. My probe is actually smaller than the pin. Make sure our fuse is good in our jump wire here. Our fuse is good. Gonna hook that to battery positive. Of course, before I did that, I unplugged it inside the car because otherwise it would be bad. Our handy dandy scope on a rope. I don't see a single ground. Maybe, just maybe. I doubt that. Oh yeah, look, we do have a good enough ground. Well, folks, we got a nice bright light. We got a nice light bright, and that's way more current than that wire is designed to carry. Well, not that it's designed to carry, it's not going to hurt it, but you know, the 250 milliamps that our light puts out is way more than what's getting fed back on this circuit. So that proves that. We know our ground's good, we know our 5-volt reference is good, our wire from the ECM to our connector is good, technically, because somebody's going to scream if we don't do this. So we're good all the way from end to end. Sweet. I don't know. It's lunchtime. I'm gonna go eat some lunch and ponder this. A couple things are bothering me. The first thing that bothers me is the fact that it will not do it with the sensor unplugged, so open circuit voltage. So riding at the, the 5-volt bias that's on the circuit return line, that doesn't drop down. The other thing that really baffles me is, off camera I took an LED test light and just stuck it on the signal return line to substitute a different value. And we can run over that. I just wanted, before I eat lunch, I want to find out for sure, substitute a different value. So signal return line from ground to signal return line, it was at, whatever was that, 1.9 volts, I think it was. Rev it up, it doesn't do it. It only does it with the sensor plugged in. And that is, that's super weird. And the fact that it only does it between 3,000 and like 3,400 RPMs is super weird too. I don't know. I'm going to give this some thought before we go slam an ECM in it. I don't know. That's super bizarre.